Do you ever wonder how great leaders in the community make things happen? When they encounter new, unexpected challenges like a pandemic, how do they continue to successfully make an impact? Welcome to That Sounds Terrific, the podcast that connects you with these amazing people. Get insights on what they do to meet their goals, find out how you can help them in their mission, and learn their methods so you can be more successful at what you do. Welcome to That Sounds Terrific with host Nick Koziol.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of That Sounds Terrific. Joining me, actually, a repeat guest for the first time on That Sounds Terrific is Dr. Bernadette Clabeaux of Western New York Raptor and Wildlife Care, Inc. And we just wanted to provide, some updates on the things that she's working on. There's some exciting things coming up. Really excited to have you back on the show, Bernie. Thanks for coming.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Nick. I really appreciate the opportunity to share some exciting updates.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of go back to like episode, one of the podcast, I feel like there's been like 18 episodes so far as we're recording right now. And I can't believe how like far like I've come, and hopefully the listeners are noticing how far I've come from when we first started, because it was very, I ask question, Bernie answers question. And that was like that was how we started, and now it's going to be much more conversational. And like I said, there's some really exciting things going on for your nonprofit, which is still a young nonprofit.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about like Western New York Raptor, just for those people that may have not listened to episode 1 or couldn't get through episode 1.
Yeah. Well, again, thanks for having me. So I'm the director of Western New York Raptor and Wildlife Care. We started in 2019 as a nonprofit. Basically, I'd been doing wildlife rehabilitation for a little bit, for many years. And as a rehabilitator, you can't really collect donations or donations, period. And what was happening is people would want to donate. They'd want to help, even $15, $20 to help feed or provide supplies for the animals that were injured or orphaned. And just because of the bigger cause of wildlife needing so much help, we decided to formally create a nonprofit in 2019. We started with, one kind of smaller enclosure or barn, basically, to house our wildlife. And then we started to grow. We got a donation of an 11 by 14 shed. So we have that as well. We have another that we built, a 10 by 50 flight enclosure. So we just keep growing to help these animals that are in need. And with COVID happening this past year, it seems as though we have increased in a number of cases exponentially.
Right.
In 2020, we helped 150 animals.
Well, that's amazing. 150 animals. That's absolutely crazy. And it probably is because of COVID, because people are out walking and trying to kind of get away from being quarantined and whatnot. But, with that, having more animals, increase use, less space to kind of work with, there's definitely a demand here. And can you talk a little bit about, like, I'm sure there's a lot of regulations and specifications that have to come into these enclosures.
For sure. So they have to be really specially designed for the animals that you are specializing in. And we specialize in birds of prey. So hawks, owls, falcons, things like that. We'll help with other little guys, squirrels and bunnies, but most of our enclosures house the larger birds of prey. So they have to be a particular size to be in compliance with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife standards and New York State Department of Environmental Conservation standards. So we have to make sure that each multi-unit enclosure has the appropriate specifications to house each of our animals. So it's really a detailed process. I think we have eight licenses for rehab, education, and scientific research licensing. So it's a pretty involved process, to say the least.
Yeah. I don't know how you have time for that. And I know you're also a professor at Medaille College and full-time work. And how do you balance those two things?
You kind of just make it work, evenings, and, I'm always caring about my students for school, of course, and getting my job done, teaching full-time. answering emails, meeting via Zoom. But then in the evenings, my passion project is taking care of all of these wild critters. I get energized from it. I love it. I love helping. And so it really kind of energizes me more than anything. It's not something that depletes me at all.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, some of the things that I talk about, and we have a support group, a career support group, and a lot of it is like telling people to do the things that they're passionate about when they're, especially when they're trying to transfer into a different career, find something that you love, because then it doesn't feel like work, and that's easier said than done. Um, and kind of going back to the fact that, we work together at Medai, and I just remember, you're an award-winning faculty member, and especially from the student point of view, the students love you, and so you have like a passion for like two different things that really impact lives. So you have students' lives that impact the rest of their career and the rest of their, professional world, and then you're helping animals. And I think, opening people's eyes to like how critical some of that timing is when it comes to an injured bird or animal. And
Sure.
can you talk a little bit about what you need to do when you find an injured bird of prey? Or
Yeah. So, well, those are obviously the most dangerous. So typically, if it's a small
oops.
songbird or even a little rabbit that maybe the cat brought in or dog brought in, you would just keep it gently. You put it in a box, and then keep it in a quiet, dark place. And then you get a hold of your local rehabilitators, which there's New York State DEC has a list of wildlife rehabilitators. You just Google it, New
Mhm.
York State DEC, wildlife rehabilitators. You have a whole list of what's around you. So proximity helps. If you're in, say, Niagara County, you're going to want to get to a rehabber that's close to you in Niagara County. So you can search for somebody to help you there. You can always call us. We can direct you there to the nearest rehabber. As far as birds of prey, though, so what ends up happening with songbirds, people will put them in boxes, call us or rehabber, and then usually do a drop off to our facility. Um, if it's birds of prey, usually I go to it because
Right.
it's pretty involved and it can be extremely dangerous, and you don't want somebody to get hurt.
Right.
And it depends on the situation. If it's one that they'll send pictures and things, and if it's a really one that's severely injured and they're able to get it in a box, we'll take it. But usually we will go out and help rescue.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because they have huge, huge beaks and
The
talons. You don't
talons and
want someone
everything.
getting injured.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, I have had I think I shared this in the last episode, a personal experience of, getting a red-tailed hawk into Cornell, that was injured, actually hit by a car and had both wings broken. So
Oh,
didn't have the best turnout at the end of the things, but I remember like my dog was the one that saw this poor thing on the side of the road, and it
oh,
really was, once I got a blanket around it, it was okay, but it was also hurt pretty bad. So
right. And you did the right thing just by getting it help as much as you can. I mean, and as fast as you can. A lot of times, I mean, I don't have the statistics on it, but
yeah,
oftentimes it is unfortunate. They don't always make it, which is extremely sad, especially considering how, emotions and how much time is involved in the rescue, right?
mhm,
But for the ones that do make it, it's the best feeling in the entire world to
yeah,
get to see that little guy, whatever you rescued, and the people
yeah,
who rescued it, to see, I don't know, to see it be released and to see them happy about how they got involved and helped. They are the initiator of the rescue, and it's really amazing to give back like that. It's a great
yeah.
feeling.
And what's great is you share the releases and the good news, with both the people that bring it in and the world
Mhm.
through social media. I've seen a bunch of your videos, and I think that that's awesome. Um, and you also give educational pointers on different things. You were just talking about, one of the owls the other day on social, and I just thought, what an interesting approach, because like you're telling us all
Mhm.
about their habitat and what they do while helping these animals. So
Yeah,
lots
yeah.
lots of awesome things you're doing. And
Thanks.
um, you're going into this new exciting time where, again, we're just hopefully getting out of the whole COVID issue. But with that, you need to expand, and with all these
Yeah.
extra animals. So can you talk a little bit about this this new outreach that you're trying to do?
Yeah. So again, in 2020, we kind of reached our capacity due to just so many, we were getting calls and a lot of animals in. So for 2021, we decided and needed to expand our capacity. So with some leadership Buffalo graduates and friends and different people that want to help, we put together this fundraiser campaign to help build a new home for these animals in need. And it'll be rolling out on Monday, April 5th. On social media, we'll have a Facebook fundraiser going to help support the building of this project. So people can find us at our Facebook page at WNY Raptor, or our website, which is WNYRaptor.com. So pretty easy to remember those, and people can donate if they want. I mean, if you can't, we never like to ask people for donations, but if you want to just share our information, that's kind of the biggest thing, is to get it shared, so people know that help exists. And
Yeah.
it's just really an exciting time for us to hopefully build new homes for these little critters.
Yeah. No, I think it's important that, like, if you can't give, the least you can do and the easiest thing to do is to share it on the social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you social media, especially considering that, like, COVID has really, like, increased the costs of these facilities. And one of the biggest reasons that, I reached back out to you was, I'm like, when you shared with how much more expensive this enclosure is just in a couple months,
Right.
the first quote, um, you know,
Yeah. Lumber has tripled in cost. So the estimate we were given last year for the project went up a significant amount since lumber again
yeah,
tripled. And you don't really know if that's going to be coming down for various reasons. There's a lot of specifics involved in why lumber went up, but hopefully by the time we're ready to build, it goes down a little bit, and we can, I don't know, we can just maximize our effort and
yeah.
donations.
No, I think that that would be great if some companies that deal in lumber, or construction crews have it in their hearts, honestly, to sponsor or donate. There are a lot of different levels. Bernadette shared a, a copy of the campaign with me, and I'm going to definitely put that in the show notes when everything's live. And I urge you to kind of take a look over. But can you give us, like, an overview and a highlight of some of, like, these levels, and the kind of publicity that these companies or individuals will get for some of the marquee?
Oh, yes. So they're all listed on our package, and there's a number of different levels for the actual corporate sponsorship.
Sure.
But you know, overall, I mean, every donation matters. So individual donations are really how we actually have survived this far. So $25,
Right.
$10, $50. That's actually what's been sustaining us this whole time to feed our animals, which costs about $400 a month to feed just the ones that we have that are permanent residents. So it's expensive, but we do have a corporate sponsorship package that we have annual sustaining corporate members for businesses that want to get involved with the ongoing costs of animal care. That one is $500 annually. And benefits of this membership are going to include a social media spotlight post and your company logo on our website for a year. And so you'll be involved in the process. We'll always give you a shout out on our social. We have about 1,500 followers right now, and we're growing every day. Moving up to the bronze sponsors, 1,000. But your name and logo is on all our communications, including letters, emails, and posts. Your logo would be on banners at events for education that will be attending with our ambassadors. And we have a number of those available. The next up is 2,500. You get to name a small suite. So whatever you would like to name it, if it's after your business or after a person that loved nature, wildlife, you just want them recognized. Absolutely. We'll recognize them on that suite for 5 years. And of course you get the logo on all communications, social media, and a banner that will display at our events. Then you move up to the gold, which is more, 5,000, naming rights for the larger suites for 5 years. So these are going to hold some of our larger raptors and birds of prey, of course, naming on all communications. And there's a limited number of those just based on the size of those enclosures.
Right.
And then 10,000 is the platinum sponsor. This one is the largest, obviously, naming rights for the new enclosure for 5 years, and naming rights on all communications, letters, social media. Will obviously say anytime we have an animal in this enclosure, hey, our barred owl is present in XYZ enclosure, and people will be sharing it on our social. So it's a great way to get your name out. And we are a nonprofit, so these are all tax write-offs.
Yeah. And I think that that's great. I mean, I urge companies to kind of come up, people that are really, focused on the environment and saving wildlife, and or even companies that might be impacting the environment, and want to show that they also have a commitment to keeping things, at least balanced, or bringing back some of the environment that has been lost. So I think that commitments like this would be going, a real long way. I mean, part of my birthday's coming up. It's actually, when we recorded this episode, it's tomorrow. And my fundraiser for my birthday is, on Facebook. I'm committing to you guys. And
Thank you. That is so kind. Again, you have no idea how much those help feed our wildlife. Like, that is how we've been sustaining and keep getting by this whole time. So that helps so much. So thank you. I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, I know. It's my pleasure. I mean, when I was a kid, I read a book called My Side of the Mountain, and it's about a boy who basically ran away from home, and amongst other things, lived in the wild, and had a bird of prey. It might have been a falcon, I'm not sure anymore, but and use that to like hunt for food and things like that. And I'm like, wow, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be a falconer. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Right. Never fulfilled that dream. I had a sort of similar dream with tigers,
Oh yeah.
I'm not
Joe
gonna
Exotic got there
yeah,
first.
I'm not going to be the tiger king, but either. But we do have a nice little hobby farm. But I love that in some small way that I can kind of live that dream through people like you, and support your organization. Because they're just really majestic creatures, and I applaud you for what you're doing. And I hope that listeners will come out and support you, and share the word, and really get the message out there, so that you can do more of the good work that you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, we sincerely appreciate it all. I mean, from $5 to the big sponsorships, whatever. I mean, birthday fundraisers again are the best, because they help so much. So however people kind of just getting the word out there, and it's really just about helping those animals that you think are far gone. It's like, not always. You'd be surprised how they can come back. Sometimes you're just amazed at how strong they are and how fast they can heal with just a little TLC. So it's more about getting the name out there and educating people that, rehabilitation is a real thing and it exists, and we can help save the world around us that needs our help.
Yeah, totally. And just a couple other things. I definitely put all the ways that you can support Western New York Raptor in the show notes, and start sharing that on social media as well. But one other quick way that you can benefit Western New York Raptor, just by going online and shopping with Amazon Smiles, and you can select them as your nonprofit of choice. I do that too. I think
thank you.
Yeah, well, it's all about, you're my first episode, and now you're my first repeat, customer to that. Sounds terrific.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that, you're getting the support that you deserve, with all the things that you do for wildlife, and for students and everything. You're just a great person doing a terrific thing. And thank you so much for being on the show again, Bernie.
Oh, thank you, Nick. I appreciate you having me back. This has been a wonderful experience, and you're doing awesome. This is a great show. I love how encouraging you are. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of That Sounds Terrific. Don't forget to check out the show notes and our website at thatsoundsterrific.com to find the contact information and the best ways to volunteer with the organizations that we feature. If you know someone that is doing terrific things and think they should be featured in a future episode, be sure to email us their name, contact info, and short description of what they're doing at thatsoundsterrific@gmail.com. If you like our show, give us a 5-star rating and give us some social media love by liking our Facebook page, That Sounds Terrific. Follow us on Twitter at Sounds Terrific 2 and Instagram at Sounds Terrific. We love hearing your feedback on how to make our show sound even more terrific. Till next time.